Lenny Vangilder, Ken Trahan for SportsNola.com as we preview the quarterfinal round of the Louisiana high school football playoffs. Ken, we've heard coaches talk about this for a long time. If you're practicing Thanksgiving week, that is a great thing.
Well, it is, and obviously you've earned something very special to be practicing this week, given the circumstances. It's hard to get to this particular round, and we're looking forward to it.
We start with 5A. For the most part, on the bottom of the bracket, it has been the chalk, but the top of the bracket has been anything but. Your thoughts in 5A?
Well, I think that there's a real opportunity here for a couple of schools. Number one on the top half, Mandeville. The Skippers have never been past the quarterfinals. This is only the second time they've ever been this far, and Guy LeCompte has his team at home in the quarterfinals. A great opportunity, as they were 4 years ago against Eric when they lost. This time it's against Ruston, a game they can win. They won a thriller in double overtime over Parkway on the road last week, so this is a great opportunity for Mandeville. West Monroe and Barb, I think the winner of that game goes to the Dome. West Monroe, traditional power. Barb's at home, though, and they throw it well, and they're big up front. Ought to be interesting. Rummel makes the trip all the way to Bird. Very tough for the Raiders, who have all kinds of injuries that have beset them. Tremendous win last week. Bird's undefeated, very fast. And, of course, Jesuit is at home to Carencro, a big football team, and this will be a good game, but I like Jesuit at home.
Be interesting to see how this all plays out. 4A, it has been all chalk with one notable exception, and that's Alexandria, who has pulled 2 upsets, at least based on seeds, in the first 2 weeks.
Well, the people in Semla, Central Louisiana, are really excited because they have several teams, 3 that are alive and well into this phase of the playoffs, and that's probably better than they've had in any long period of time. So they're very excited about their opportunities. Alexandria certainly is one of those, and they're at home as well, but they get Breaux Bridge, who's got 3 LSU commitments, and they're multi-talented. I gotta like Breaux Bridge to win that game. McDonough 35 and Neville. A little deja vu. 2 years ago, McDonough 35 had Neville dead and buried at Tad Gormley Stadium, and they blew it late, forcing overtime, messing up in the kicking game, and lost in overtime to Neville. Neville goes on and wins the state championship. The Ron Eagles haven't forgotten, but they've got to go to Monroe. That's going to be very tough for Wayne Reese's team. Teurlings Catholic and Letcher may be the best matchup. This is a really good game. Teurlings Catholic, very well coached, solid football team. They played a great schedule, and they eked one out over Old Perry Walker last week. But you look at this team that they're playing in Letcher, they're playing their best ball of the year. Tim Detillier is speaking very, very loudly about his team and how they're playing, and I kind of like Letcher at home here. Edna Carr in the Dome last year, they're at St. Thomas More, traditionally good program. They score a ton of points there at home. Carr can play with anybody. This is another good matchup.
2 terrific games there at the bottom of the bracket in Class 4A. We talk about the chalk in 4A. It's just the opposite in 3A, where only 2 of the top 8 seeds have advanced to the quarterfinal. The 2 teams, I guess you could say, they're at least sitting pretty from that perspective, are St. Charles Catholic and Amite.
Well, I wouldn't say St. Charles Catholic is sitting pretty. I think they got a very bad draw. They played Patterson, an undefeated team, in the regional round, and should they win this Friday night against Rain on the road, then they'd play Parkview Baptist, the defending state champion, short of the Dome in the semifinals. And most observers feel that St. Charles Catholic and Parkview Baptist are the best teams, and they would play short of the Dome. Amite has the real opportunity here. They're on the other side of the bracket, and they get an opportunity at home against McMain, a first-timer. Wonderful story, Kevin Roussel's team in the playoffs, winning a game for the first time last week, 2 weeks ago I should say, and then winning a second game this past weekend. So great story, though I do like Amite. Marksville took out the number 1 seed, Farmerville. They're on the road at Jennings, but anybody that beats the Farmers gets my attention. I like them.
It'll be interesting to see what McMain does this week. 54 and 57 points in their first 2 playoff games. That's some pinball type numbers there. As we go into 2A, the conversation as always starts with Curtis and Evangel, and they're on a collision course, just like at 3A, not to meet in a dome in the semifinals perhaps.
Because Evangel lost 5 games. They had injuries at quarterback, and they played a ridiculous schedule, and their record is a total lie. Dakota Duron is back now, and they're putting up significant number of points. Curtis playing with a freshman quarterback, and Abby Duzat. Curtis will win at home against Kinder. Evangel at home to Catholic New Iberia, a good football team. They've got a very good quarterback. Won't be easy, but you can't go against Evangel at Duron Field. University Lab with all the LSU coaches' sons. This is a really good football team, undefeated, very athletic at Calvary Baptist. I think that's the matchup of the weekend in this class. Calvary can score points like it's going out of style. So this is one of those that could be an adding machine game. And then Episcopal at Winfield. Winfield has shut out 2 straight opponents. They're scoring a ton of points. Everybody tells me their speed is terrific. Episcopal's a really good football team and well coached. Lost only to ULab. That's another good game, but you got to like Winfield at home.
In finally, we get to 1A, and the 1 seed, Ouachita Christian, the 2 seed, Vermilion Catholic. Pretty easy up to this point, although Ouachita Christian had a tough go on the road at Oak Grove, but a good test for them. How do you see 1A playing out?
Most people feel it's going to be those two, but I think all 8 teams are capable. Central Catholic's really good. They've scored a bunch of points. They feel like it's their best team since they went to the Dome several years ago in this decade, and that's the good news. The bad news is they're going up to Ouachita Christian, so it's kind of hard to pick against the Eagles there. Mangum is in block, another Semla team in block that's done well. They had to rally in the fourth quarter to win at St. Martin's last week, though, so they're going to have to play better than that. Mangum is a pretty good football team. West St. John and Haynesville. This is a battle of the Titans. Haynesville, a traditional power, tons of state championships. They're at home. Most people don't know how to get there. West St. John has a long way to go, but Robert Valdez has a really good football team. I think they have a real chance to win on the road if they can overcome the trip and the hype. And then Vermilion Catholic at Westminster Christian. Westminster Christian's a good football team, but Vermilion Catholic is outstanding. And I think they are going to win this football game.
By the end of Friday night, we'll be down to just 20 teams. And a week from Friday night, we'll be down to the 10 who will be headed to the Superdome on the second weekend of December. This Friday night, you can tune in to sportsnola.com, get all the latest scores, tune in to an expanded edition of Ken Trahan's original Prep Football Report with coverage of the Rummel Bird 5A quarterfinal from Shreveport and reports from all of the other 19 quarterfinal games around the state. Again, stay with us here at sportsnola.com for the most complete coverage of high school sports.